For better or for worse, No Man's Sky sent shockwaves across the internet. I'm not going to discuss the controversy surrounding it, but rather where the 18 quintillion figure comes from. There's a bit of computer science involved in this, so brace yourself. It's going to get a little technical. In computer science, a number of this size is known as a long data type. It can hold a number as high as 18 quintillion, which is actually where this number, on a technical standpoint, comes from. This specific data type is 2 to the power of 64. This sounds like a large number, but in this context, it means there are only a total of 64 attributes, assuming all of them are used. When the game initially released, a lot of users were complaining that the planets felt repetitive after traveling through more solar systems. This will be why. To put this more into context, a Rubik's Cube has 43 quintillion combinations across a combination of 6 colors and 9 faces for each side. This isn't quite a fair comparison, but the point stands. It's not about the number of combinations in the context of a game like No Man's Sky, but the number of attributes to choose from when generating a planet. This isn't the first time a game has randomly generated properties. The most popular example of this is Minecraft, which is procedurally generated using a random seed value. A seed value is the initial value passed to a random number generator. Now, in most implementations, this is actually known as pseudo-random. The reason it is pseudo-random is because you can predict what the next value in the sequence is going to be if you have the formula. Now, in Minecraft, you have the option of using a word or an actual number as the seed value. Now, there is a slight difference. Well, mathematically, there is a difference. If you do just a word, it is 2 to the power of 32. Now, the reason it is 2 to the power of 32 is because there is a limitation imposed because of how it converts the word to a number. And you can read more about that in the wiki link in the description if you'd like to know more about that. Now, if you use a number, it is 18 quintillion, which is 2 to the 64th power. This is not the same as how many actual combinations of blocks there can be, but rather the different levels that you can generate just based on the seed value. If you wanted to actually calculate how many different combinations there are that you can make of the different cubes, it is a very high number. Very high number. Now, I haven't done the math myself, but a Reddit user by the name of xpost3000 calculated, well, this number. Another example is Left 4 Dead 2, where there are approximately 20,000 combinations of how a zombie can look, like a standard infected zombie. This can range from the mesh to the skin tones and even the clothing. There's an interesting commentary note about this. We wanted to improve the variation on the infected while keeping their memory footprint identical. The entire horde is never comprised of more than 5 head textures and 5 body textures. We use luminosity lookup into a gradient texture for tinting variation, allowing us to not only get a hue variation but also a luminosity variation. For example, we can have a black or white t-shirt out of the same texture map. The gradient is broken up into zones so that we can tint areas of clothing and skin differently. The infected texture also includes 4 distinct masks for blood and details such as dirt or pond scum. We randomize both the gradients and the mask each time an infected is spawned. We also randomize the body and the head meshes, resulting in nearly 20,000 available variations in a typical map, up more than tenfold from the original Left 4 Dead. So these all seem like fairly large numbers, but the fact that it's only a couple attributes put together kind of eliminates the effect that it is a very massive number and a massive amount of combinations. You can even see an example of this in the real world with when advertisers refer to true color, they don't say true color, they say 16 million colors, which is actually just 2 to the 24th power and is a known number in the computer space. So while you have 16 million colors to choose from, how many colors can you actually make out of that, and how much can you actually differentiate those colors, which isn't really that much. For example, I have the Chroma keyboard, which uses this same exact advertising where they say, 16 million colors, But when you actually go into the settings and you adjust it, they don't look too different from each other. You can't really differentiate them that much. So while the scope and the extent that they went with No Man's Sky is still impressive, it's really not that intense as they're making it seem. It's more of a marketing thing to make it seem as if it's this infinite, endless kind of thing. Now, when you actually go and play the game, you'll go through a couple solar systems, at least when it was first released, and they're really not that much different from each other for this reason. So what sounds more interesting to you? There's 64 attributes that we use to generate these planets, or there's 18 quintillion possibilities. So what do you think about these numbers? Let me know in the comments. My name is Anthony, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.